What they're doing right now is preparing them for this thing that's sitting on the horizon, where it's not something they're vying for or competing for or hoping for. They're preparing for it from the time they enter school. You are the most powerful you can be as a freshman, or maybe even as an 8th grader, because you can, if you're thinking about it, and we want to put this in their mind, what kind of school you might want to go to, what you aspire to, you can go out and do the things that will make you qualified. When I work with seniors, they can typically come to me and say, Mr. Tiggle, this is what I've done, where can I go? Where a freshman can ask me, hey, this is where I want to go, what do I need to do? So what I really think is part of getting students to be able to imagine college being a expectation, something that's going to happen. They can envision or imagine themselves on a college campus, but in a very close commute from Baltimore, you can see almost every type of college that exists, from a urban campus, a rural liberal arts college, a conservatory, a flagship state university, where if they can see themselves at a place that's supposed to be magical and mythical, but when they get there, they recognize it's real and recognizable, they can see that on the horizon for them being a possibility. Enrolling 9th grade parents, look at the curriculum from 9th to 12th grade as you're enrolling for 9th grade courses. So you can say, where can I prosper to, or how far through the curriculum can I get in different subjects? So that will give them both in their mind saying, I'm going to college, I'm preparing for it, I'm investing in it, I've got a roadmap, and these are my stops along the way. Starting freshman year, if you can find a place that needs a volunteer, or that can hire you every summer, or someone who needs their lawn raked or mowed, have a regular job that requires responsibility, right? Because it's going to build responsibility, and there's just something that's going to happen in those experiences. You're going to talk about in an interview, or you're going to write about in your essay, right? The more life experiences you have, the more opportunities you have to talk about your life. The PSAT is really a practice for the SAT, and as sophomores, most students are going to practice for the practice, right? So I don't say so much worry about preparing for the PSAT as a sophomore, but be prepared to use the feedback that you get from the PSAT to get an idea of where you test. But you want to get a sort of idea, hey, I'm in the 30th percentile, so I either have to strengthen my testing, or I need to come to grips with the fact that I'm not a good tester, and that is not going to be my calling card as I go into admissions. I need to make sure my grades are good and that I have a good resume, because I'm just not one of those kids who tests well. You need to start carving out a time that is test prep, right? Carving out a time that might be journal writing. So you're getting comfortable with writing about and expressing yourself. When they get to this crossroads at junior year, where they get to make some choices, choose to challenge themselves. And that's the time I think is really crucial, because they get to make the choice. It's the closest year to when they're applying to college, and your junior year performance, what you are at the end of your junior year, is kind of who you are as you march into the college application process. The seniors, they're applying to college. So it's about when they hit that spring semester, junior year, really investing, and especially the kids who have college counselors at their school, making sure to invest time getting to know their counselor and making sure their counselor gets to know them, because one of the ways in which colleges get to like students is the messages that we're giving them about their applicants. So I'd say freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year, one of the other things on the to-do list is to develop a relationship with your teacher that helps them understand you're invested in learning. There's a data-driven read where it is as it sounds, so the data is the most important thing. Then there's something called a whole read, right? And a whole read is something students will hear or families will hear when they go to college presentations. They'll hear it called a holistic read, where they're saying, we're taking all things into account. So your GPA, SAT, academic profile is important, but we also want to know what you're doing extracurricularly. How do you present yourself in your own writing or interviews? Do you have recommendations that help give us insight into how you're observed in your community? Does your resume highlight someone who's active and passionate about something? So when you have a whole read, it's going to take into consideration both your academic work as well as who you are as a person. One thing I always say is don't worry about how much the college costs, worry about how much it costs you, right? Because financial aid is going to make that in many instances something you won't be able to ascertain on the surface. You'll have to go through the process to find out how it's going to, what it's going to cost you. But essentially it's understanding what financial aid is and how one gets financial aid. There's need-based financial aid. It's essentially governed by something called the FAFSA. And the FAFSA is the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. And the FAFSA really takes income tax information and then determines a student's or family's wealth and ability to pay for a year of college. So that's need-based aid, and it is married to your need, to your wealth, right? And then there is merit-based aid. And merit-based aid is married to meritorious metrics. So your GPA, your SAT, your talent in the arts, music, athletics. Merit-based aid is what we also call scholarship. When you are thorough about your college search and the kind of place that will be a good match for you, there's a good likelihood that other like-minded or like-living people will be there. So it's a way to, I think, sort of bring, energy to a place or be part of a place that's energized in a way that is congruent with who you are.